Hello, how are you? I hope you're good. I really don't feel like setting everything up and filming on my main camera, so I'm coming to you with a very chill wrap-up. Thankfully, I suppose it's also a very short one, so it's fine. I have read 3 books in the month of June. So the first thing that I finished was the Brief Answers to the Big Questions by Stephen Hawking. I sort of talked about it during the last wrap-up because I have started it in May. This is published post his passing, and it is a collection of answers to some of the questions that people have been wondering about from the very beginning of time. So things like, is there God? How did it all begin? Can we predict the future? What is inside a black hole? Is there other intelligent life in the universe? Will artificial intelligence outsmart us? How do we shape the future? Will we survive on Earth? Should we colonize space? And is time travel possible? I thoroughly enjoyed like half of it. I thoroughly enjoyed half of it. And then I sort of realized that it is really circular and it just keeps repeating itself in every single answer. It just keeps going back to the same points, which I suppose is understandable, but it makes this book very, very much equivalent to a clickbait. That being said, I still enjoyed it. Like, I do a lot of clickbaity videos that I click on. It just definitely feels a little bit under-edited, which is bizarre considering the subject. Some questions were more interesting than others, but that's probably just a personal taste as well. I don't think I learned many things to begin with, but it did definitely spark conversation between me and Logan as well. I was reading this. I was also talking to him about some stuff, so it was thought-provoking, which was pretty much what I wanted from it. I gave it 4 stars, but I don't actually read that much non-fiction, so I don't know how fair I am in that. Don't know how exactly to rate non-fiction is basically what I'm saying, because I don't have it a lot to compare with. But it was a low 4-star, but it still scraped 4 stars apparently. So then I read The Beholder by Anna Bright. This is about a girl who's growing up in a colony that is newly independent, so it is very vulnerable and politically unprepared for what's to come. And she's actually a seneschal elect, which means basically that her father is the seneschal, and that once he passes, she will be the one to inherit his role. However, her stepmother has some other plans she is currently expecting, and we don't know her full motive, but she sends her away to find a suitor after our main character actually proposes publicly to her love, or what she thinks is love, and gets rejected. This all happens in the first chapter, so it's not spoilers or anything. It's just how it all starts. And then she is sent on this ship, The Beholder, with this peculiar crew, and she is to visit multiple suitors to find the one that she can bring back home, in hopes that the suitor will help her politically and also, you know, be a suitable partner. At the very beginning, I was actually really intrigued by this, and then I think my interest sort of lowered, but I actually did really enjoy the romantic bits. It gave me some butterflies. I did not get any new crushes or anything, but I really thoroughly enjoyed the romantic parts of it. However, the lack of intrigue and the plot didn't feel that important, and some things didn't make sense. And the main reason why this was a little bit of a letdown for me personally was the ending. I really did not enjoy the end, and the end, I think, for me personally is very important in books. It can almost make or break the book because it just puts everything in perspective, especially if there's some sort of reveal, and I just didn't enjoy it. And a lot of the times I was like, why are you doing this? Could you not just do that? And it frustrates me. But after all, this actually scraped 3 stars, which I was kind of surprised about, but then the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. So I was predicting 2 stars, but it was actually 3 stars. There were some really interesting characters. It was an interesting dynamic between a couple characters, and it wasn't all straightforward, and it dealt with interesting topics like guilt and sacrifice, and it had some touching moments. Do I think it's a must-read? I don't think so, but if it's something that piques your interest, give it a go. I would say that if after 100 pages you're not really enjoying it, you probably will not enjoy the rest of it. It just wasn't the most exciting book, which pretty much summarizes my year so far in reading. Hoping for the second half to be better. Then I grabbed a contemporary because I really wanted to have something a bit lighter, that I don't have to delve into this new world and fantastic rules. So I read Red, White and Royal Blue. Chances are you have seen this floating about because everyone and their mother is talking about this book. And I really did enjoy it. I gave it 4 stars, which is a very high rating in my books, pardon the pun. If you don't know though, this book is about a British prince and an American first boy? Well, wait, president's son. I don't remember how it's called, but anyway. And it's about their friendship and their rivalry and obviously romance. I thought that the dialogue was handled well. I felt like the characters felt their age. They didn't feel too young, which I really appreciate. This is definitely not YA. This is definitely at least new adult, because there's a lot of sexy time and a lot of cursing, which both of them I kind of appreciated, you know, like it was nice. I liked it. I definitely thought that American aspect was done more justice, especially with which would make sense because the author is American, and obviously all of the issues with Trump being in power and a lot of prejudices that are still very prevalent being addressed in this book. I think that was really nicely done. Obviously the female president touch was also brilliant because that's never happened there, so funny that. As for the British, other than the royalty being made very, very traditional, there was not a lot of other things happening on that side, which is okay, I suppose. Like there was very clear jargon put into there that I think was very exaggerated, but you know. I like the side characters as well, and I kind of like the plot, although obviously it was very predictable, but you don't really go into this for like plot twists. So overall it was really fun, especially at the beginning. I was excited, I was rooting for the characters, I was wanting them to confide in one another, and I was just very happy reading it. It was quite funny as well, and fairly manageable levels of cringe, but I do cringe personally very, very easily. Now to some of the negatives and why it wasn't a 5-star. I think actually if you took 100 pages from this, I do not think this had any business being over 400 pages long. If you took at least like 100 pages off from here, take some filler out, take some repetitiveness, because it was very repetitive, I think it would have literally, like, that would have made it 5 stars for me. And I think maybe this is something that a slower reader would notice more than a faster reader, because obviously I, being a medium to slow reader, I spend more time on one page than the faster one, so it would make sense, you know, that I would notice something like that if it may not be bothering someone else. I also really saw so much potential from the side characters, especially like Beatrice and some of her stuff. I don't want to say because spoilers. And the girls from Americans side, I really wished the issues and the themes that they had in their lives were explored just a tiny bit. I'm not saying to like go like balls deep into that, but just a tiny bit. It would have been so amazing, and it would have added so much. I understand that there is a limit where you can not take away from the main characters as well, but I personally felt like it was just mentioned to then maybe publish more books separately as companion novels, which doesn't really sit with me. Obviously just my speculation, but it's how I felt reading it, and I really wanted to know more. Sometimes I feel like this is like a marketing ploy because apparently I need a tinfoil hat, but that is how I felt reading about those things. I really wished it was like put it more into here. I don't know, maybe editors edited out, I don't know. And I also wanted to delve even deeper into the guilt aspect. That was definitely a big part of this, but I just wanted a tiny bit more, especially because there were things that looked like it could be depressive episodes, and I just felt like that was not explored. Not that you always have to, I just personally wish it was. So we got like a middle to like a weaker 4 stars for me, but I still really enjoyed it. As I said, 4 stars is really good for me. I feel like when a book is really hyped up, I would notice more the negative. I will speak about more of the negatives just because I feel like you probably have heard a lot of the praises for this book already, so you know the positives much more. And I also had a comment from one of you guys pointing out that for the Americans this would have hit hard, and I totally get that. Like, maybe because I am not from America, maybe it is not as relevant to me, or maybe it's not as touching for me because I am in a different environment. I totally get that. And that is all. Another somewhat underwhelming reading month, not just because of the number of books, but just the feeling of the reading of those books. I'm really hoping July is gonna be a little bit kinder. However, I know my schedule for July, and yeah. As for the watching of stuff, I think, as I mentioned in the vlog, we have watched the Gladiator because it felt fitting on the day that we saw the Coliseum, and it was really good. The soundtrack, man, like, it's funny watching the movie again because you can really see how old it is now. It's just as good now though as it was back then. And other than that, I think we were pretty much just binging Lucifer. It's kind of funny because we sort of watching it separately but together with Logan, because sometimes one of us will go further and then the other one will try to catch up. So sometimes we're watching Lucifer together but doing other things, like just on the background, but separately because we're on different episodes. But yesterday we caught up, so we are on the second half of the 3rd season. I think it definitely gets better as seasons go by. It's not my favorite show, I'm not gonna say that it's my favorite show, but I do like it. I think there's a couple of character arcs that are really well done, like the psychologist and Mazes. I think the main characters are possibly my least favorite characters, but that's usually the case, isn't it? Well, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it. That's you caught up on my July's stuff. Let me know if you have read anything good recently. Obviously we have July still, but I'm really hoping that when NEWTs kick in, that is where I'm gonna find all of my good reads, because what is happening with this year? The only 2 5-stars that I've read this year were during Owls, so I just have very high hopes for NEWTs. Exciting. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you had a lovely month and July is gonna be very kind to you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!